Hi there. Welcome to Learn English Every Day.
Here, you'll hear slow, clear English to help you learn with ease.
Let's begin.
Do schools actually kill creativity?
Wow. That is a huge question to start with.
It is, right. But if you really stop to think about it, we send our children to school to learn and to prepare for the future.
Right.
But is it possible that the system designed to educate them is actually crushing their natural ability to imagine?
It challenges everything we just assume about education. Most of us go through school thinking, if we just follow the rules, get the good grades, sit still.
Then we'll be successful.
Exactly. But what if we are losing something really vital in that process?
And that is exactly what we are exploring today. Welcome to our deep dive into a very famous talk by Sir Ken Robinson. He argues that we are educating people out of their creative abilities.
And for everyone listening right now, especially if you are practicing your English listening skills, we are going to take this slowly and clearly.
Yeah, our mission today is to help you improve your English while we explore this completely fascinating topic. I am so excited because Robinson uses so much humor and so many great stories.
And I am ready to kind of break down the deeper meaning behind those stories, especially what they say about how we define intelligence.
So let's just jump right in. Before we talk about how kids lose their creativity, Robinson points out something really funny but also kind of terrifying about the future.
Mm-hmm.
We are educating children today who are going to be retiring around the year 2065.
2065? I mean, that just sounds like science fiction.
It really does. And the point is, we have absolutely no clue what the world will look like in 5 years.
Let alone 40 years.
Exactly.
Just think about how much things have changed in the last 5 years alone. The technology, the way we work, how we communicate. It is totally unpredictable.
Yeah.
Yet the education system is somehow supposed to prepare children for that exact unknown future. So Robinson argues that since we cannot predict the future, the best strategy is to protect and nurture the natural talents that children are already born with.
And he really believes those talents are huge. All kids have them. He tells this story that I think perfectly shows the difference between how children see the world and, well, how adults see it.
Oh, is this the drawing class story?
Yes, the 6-year-old girl in the drawing lesson.
I love this one.
So you have this little girl sitting in the back of the classroom, and usually she does not pay attention at all. She is probably looking out the window or moving around. But today, in this drawing class, she is completely focused.
Which is very rare for her.
Super rare.
Yeah.
So the teacher's surprised. She walks over to the girl's desk and asks, what are you drawing?
And the girl does not even look up.
Right. She just says, I am drawing God.
Which is a very bold subject for a 6-year-old.
Definitely. So the teacher kind of laughs and says, but nobody knows what God looks like.
And the girl's response is just perfect.
Says with total confidence, they will in a minute.
They will in a minute. That is just so pure. It is such a great example of childhood confidence.
Yeah, she wasn't worried about being wrong.
Exactly. She wasn't thinking about whether she had the right reference photo or if she was making a mistake. She just had an idea and she went for it.
It reminds me of the other story he tells about the nativity play, the traditional Christmas play with Mary and Joseph.
Those school plays are always so funny because something always goes wrong.
Always. So Robinson's son was in this play, and there's that famous part where the 3 kings arrive to give gifts. And traditionally, the gifts are gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
Those are really difficult words for a 4-year-old to remember.
Very difficult. So these 3 little boys walk onto the stage. They have towels wrapped around their heads. They look very serious.
Right.
First boy puts his box down and says, I bring you gold. The second boy puts his box down and says, I bring you myrrh.
And the third boy?
The third boy steps up, puts his box down, and just says, Frank sent this.
Frank sent this.
He definitely forgot the word frankincense.
But he just improvised. He didn't freeze.
No, he didn't. And that is the whole point. The kids in these stories are not paralyzed by fear.
That is the key takeaway here. Kids will just take a chance. If they do not know the answer, they will still try. They are not frightened of being wrong.
Yeah.
Now, I want to be really clear for you listening. Robinson is not saying that being wrong is the exact same thing as being creative.
Right. I mean, 2 + 2 is not 5, no matter how creative your drawing of a 5 is.
Exactly. But his argument is that if you are not prepared to be wrong, you will never come up with anything original.
Because originality requires taking a risk.
Yes, it requires the possibility of failing.
So what happens to us? Because adults are definitely terrified of being wrong.
We lose it. Or, more accurately, it is trained out of us. By the time those kids become adults, most of them have lost that ability to take a chance. They become so scared of making a mistake.
Because we stigmatize mistakes.
We do. Think about how companies work today. If you make a mistake in a big meeting, you are not celebrated for being creative.
No, it could ruin your career.
And we run our schools the exact same way. The worst thing you can do on a test is get the answer wrong. So naturally, we educate people out of their creative abilities.
Which brings us to how the schools are actually structured. Because if the goal is to avoid mistakes, we end up valuing certain subjects much more than others.
Yes, Robinson points out that every single education system on Earth, it does not matter what country you're in, they all have the exact same hierarchy of subjects.
It is always the same.
At the very top, you always find mathematics and languages.
Always.
Then right in the middle, you have the humanities, things like history, geography.
And at the bottom.
Always at the bottom, the arts.
And even within the arts, there is a kind of ranking, right?
Yeah, art and music are usually placed higher than drama and dance. And Robinson asks such a great question here. He says, why do we not teach dance every day to children, the same way we teach mathematics?
Okay, I have to play the skeptic here for a second.
Yes.
Isn't math just more useful? We need math for the economy, for building things. We don't really need everyone to be a professional dancer.
That is what most people think. But Robinson challenges that completely. He says, children have bodies, not just heads. We experience the world through movement just as much as we do through logic. But the school system is only obsessed with the head.
He has a really funny way of describing university professors when he talks about this.
Oh, the disembodied heads.
Yes. He says professors often live entirely inside their heads and slightly to one side.
Right. He jokes that they look at their bodies just as a form of transport.
Just a vehicle to get their head to the next meeting.
It is a funny image, but it shows a very real bias. We have built a world where academic ability is the only kind of intelligence that matters. If you can sit quietly and do math, you are smart. If you need to move around to think, you are seen as a problem.
So where did this specific system even come from? Who decided math was the most important thing?
Well, it was designed during the 19th century, during the Industrial Revolution.
So it is actually a very old system.
Very old. The whole goal was to produce workers for factories and businesses. They needed people who could do the math, read the instructions, and follow the rules. So those subjects went straight to the top.
Kids were basically told to stop playing music or painting because you will never get a job doing that.
Exactly. The school system is basically modeled on a factory. We even use bells to tell kids when to move. We separate everything into different subjects. We process children in batches based on their age, like a manufacturing date.
It sounds so mechanical when you put it that way.
It really is. And back then, there was a promise. The deal was, If you work hard and get a university degree, you will have a safe job for the rest of your life.
But that is definitely not true anymore.
No, it is broken. Robinson calls this academic inflation.
Like when money loses its value.
Exactly the same concept. In the past, just having a basic university degree meant you were guaranteed a great job. Now everybody has one. So for that same job, you suddenly need a master's degree, and soon you will need a PhD.
The requirements keep going up, but the jobs are not there.
Right. The ground is shifting beneath our feet, but we are still using a map from the 19th century.
And the saddest part is, when we judge kids by those old rules, we completely miss their real talents.
We do. Robinson talks about Shakespeare to prove this point.
I love this part because we always imagine famous historical figures as, old and serious.
We picture Shakespeare with the beard, writing famous plays. We never imagine him as a 7-year-old boy.
But he was 7 once. He had to sit in somebody's English class.
Can you imagine being Shakespeare's English teacher?
It would be terrible. William, you must try harder. Your writing makes no sense.
Or his father sending him to bed. Put the pens down and stop speaking like that. You are confusing everybody.
It is funny to think about, but it makes a really serious point. What we see as bad behavior in a child might actually just be raw, unshaped talent.
And that leads perfectly into the story of Gillian Lynn. This is probably the most important part of the whole talk.
Yeah, this story really stuck with me. For anyone listening who doesn't know her, Gillian Lynn became a legendary choreographer. She created the dances for massive theater shows like Cats and Phantom of the Opera.
She was a multi-millionaire. She brought joy to millions of people. But when she was a little girl in the 1930s, she was considered a total failure at school.
The school actually sent a letter home to her parents.
They did. They wrote that they thought Gillian had a learning disorder because she just could not sit still. She was always fidgeting. She was late with her homework. She distracted everyone.
Now, if a school sent that same letter today, what do you think would happen?
Oh, today we would say she has ADHD. We would probably give her medication and tell her to calm down.
But this was the 1930s.
Right. ADHD had not been invented as a term yet. So her mother was terrified. She took little Gillian to see a medical specialist.
Just picture this scene. You have this little 8-year-old girl sitting in a big, serious doctor's office.
And she is actually sitting on her hands. She is trying so hard to be good and stay quiet, but she's just full of energy.
The doctor talks to her mother for 20 minutes about all the problems Gillian is causing at school.
It must have felt like hours to her. Finally, the doctor stands up, looks at Gillian, and says, "Gillian, I need to speak to your mother privately. Wait right here."
But right before he walks out of the room, he does something amazing.
He turns on the radio, sitting on his desk.
Just a simple click of the radio.
And then he and the mother step out into the hallway. The doctor tells the mother, "Just look through the window and watch her."
And the second they leave the room,
She is on her feet,
she is dancing.
moving to the music completely naturally. They watch her for a few minutes, just amazed. And then the doctor turns to her mother and says, and this is so powerful, he says, "Mrs. Lynn, Gillian isn't sick. She's a dancer. Take her to a dance school."
I just love that. He didn't say she needs discipline or pills. He just saw her for who she actually was.
So her mother took her to a dance school, and Gillian said it was wonderful. She walked into a room full of people exactly like her, people who had to move to think.
People who had to move to think. That completely changes how we look at intelligence.
Yes. But Robinson asks a really scary question here. What if she had seen a different doctor?
A doctor who just told her to sit down and be quiet.
Her talent would have been completely suppressed. We would never have had those amazing theater shows. She would have spent her whole life feeling stupid.
It really makes you wonder how many kids are sitting in classrooms right now just waiting for someone to turn on the radio for them.
Millions of them. And that is why we have to redefine intelligence. Robinson says there are 3 main characteristics of true human intelligence.
Okay, what is the first one?
First, it is diverse. We think visually, we think in sound, we think in movement. We do not just think in numbers and words.
Which is what the schools focus on.
Right. Second, intelligence is dynamic. The brain is highly interactive. Real creativity happens when different parts of the brain or different subjects connect with each other.
He tells a funny joke here about how men and women's brains work differently.
Yeah, he talks about the corpus callosum, which is the part of the brain that connects the 2 halves. He says it is thicker in women.
So women are better at multitasking.
That is his joke. He says when his wife is cooking, she's also talking on the phone, painting the ceiling, and doing open heart surgery all at the same time.
But when he cooks?
When he cooks, the door must be closed. The phone must be turned off. If his wife asks him a question, he gets upset and says, "Please, I'm trying to fry an egg in here."
I think a lot of people listening can relate to that.
It is very funny, but it shows how complex the brain really is. And the third characteristic is that intelligence is distinct. Every single person has a completely unique mix of talents.
Okay, so if intelligence is diverse, dynamic, and distinct, how do we actually fix the schools? We can't just throw the whole system away.
No, but we have to change the basic model. Robinson says we need to move from an industrial model of education to an agricultural model.
What does that mean exactly? Industrial versus agricultural?
Well, think about mining. When you mine for coal, you dig it out, you use it, and you leave the earth empty. That is how we treat children right now. We mine their minds for a few specific skills, like math, and we ignore everything else.
But agriculture is different.
Right. Agriculture is like being a gardener. A gardener cannot force a plant to grow.
You can't just pull on the leaves to make it taller.
Exactly. You just create the perfect conditions. You give it water.
Do schools actually kill creativity?
Wow. That is a huge question to start with.
It is, right. But if you really stop to think about it, we send our children to school to learn and to prepare for the future.
Right.
But is it possible that the system designed to educate them is actually crushing their natural ability to imagine?
It challenges everything we just assume about education. Most of us go through school thinking, if we just follow the rules, get the good grades, sit still,
then we'll be successful.
Exactly. But what if we are losing something really vital in that process?
And that is exactly what we are exploring today. Welcome to our deep dive into a very famous talk by Sir Ken Robinson. He argues that we are educating people out of their creative abilities.
And for everyone listening right now, especially if you are practicing your English listening skills, we are going to take this slowly and clearly.
Yeah, our mission today is to help you improve your English while we explore this completely fascinating topic. I am so excited because Robinson uses so much humor and so many great stories.
And I am ready to kind of break down the deeper meaning behind those stories, especially what they say about how we define intelligence.
So let's just jump right in. Before we talk about how kids lose their creativity, Robinson points out something really funny but also kind of terrifying about the future.
Mm-hmm.
We are educating children today who are going to be retiring around the year 2065.
2065? I mean, that just sounds like science fiction.
It really does. And the point is, we have absolutely no clue what the world will look like in 5 years.
Let alone 40 years.
Exactly.
Just think about how much things have changed in the last 5 years alone. The technology, the way we work, how we communicate. It is totally unpredictable.
Yeah.
Yet the education system is somehow supposed to prepare